Hey there, fellow nerds and geeks. Aaron Nabus here, and I hope 2017 is starting off great for all of you. Our first Hall H show of the year features Geoff Pascual and Jana Arcinas from Pascual Productions, which my co-host Alice Benedicto and I recently recorded at their new studio in Lake Forest, Orange County, California. He's one of our favorite artists, and it's always great seeing him at conventions, and it's even better watching him continually evolve his art. We first interviewed him at Anime California in 2014, and both he and Jana have accomplished a lot with Pascual Productions since then. Congrats again on the new studio. Please enjoy our conversation with Pascual Productions, and make sure to check them out online or at a convention near you. Artists assemble. All right. Thank you for tuning in to the Hall H show. On this episode, we are joined by watercolor artist Geoff Pascual and Jana Arcinas from Pascual Productions. His newly opened studio in Lake Forest, California, which is in Orange County in between San Diego and Los Angeles. He really opened our eyes with his expressive style when we saw him at various conventions and Los Angeles night markets at this year's San Diego Comic-Con as well. In fact, it is probably his Samurai Champloo pieces that made me go, I have to meet this artist. Geoff was also one of the artists that graciously participated in our inaugural Artist Assemble meet and greet art show at San Diego Comic-Con. We first met him at Anime California in Anaheim back in 2014, and the intro that I wrote for that interview went something like this. Messy, exaggerated, twisted, stretched. No, this isn't the latest Axe Hair Piece commercial. This is how Geoff Pascual, watercolor artist specializing in comic and anime characters, describes his style of portraying his unique versions of superheroes, supervillains, ninjas, alchemists, and many other characters in his artwork. His creative use of paint splatters and volatile line work helped to accentuate movement in his pieces as they kick butt. A lot of things have happened in the last 2 years, and his artwork is still kicking butt. Thank you for being on the show, Geoff and Jana, and congratulations on the new studio.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I guess we can start off with the studio. Why did you open one up, and how long have you been planning it for?
We've been planning this studio opening for probably since our first idea of it, about a year. Jana's been working side by side with me for the past 2-3 years, basically since this became a thing. And we've always kind of dreamt about having a separate workspace, some kind of like hub that we can be creative and get work done. And so basically, so we, like the idea of an office has popped up like now and then, and just only recently since it came up again, we just like, you know what, like I think we're ready, like we can do this. And so we opened one up, and it's been really great. I mean, like Jana, you can kind of share basically how it kind of changed.
Basically, when we're at home, there's a lot of distractions going on, like our parents, and like back then we had like school, like homework and everything. But when you go to like a separate space, there's just a lot of like inspiration already. Like the very first day, we were just inspired to be productive and work, and it's just been it's been really good for Pascual Productions since then.
Yeah, we've done so much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And we'll do a little fly through a little bit later with some video.
Yeah.
I guess, as you said, it looks like you had a busy 2016. What were some of the highlights, and what conventions were your favorites?
San Diego Comic-Con is always like the most exciting, of course. 5 days can get a little long, but we pulled through, and it's always like good to look back on how crazy that weekend was. So that's probably like one of the biggest of the year convention-wise. Milestone getting the office, picking up a few like kind of industry like commission work would probably be one of the major highlights also. Since I've been doing this, probably this year, I've gotten the most inquiries for people like from the industry trying to commission me to do work. I can't like talk about too many, but I did.
We won't tell anybody. I'm just joking.
I did concept stuff for Vampire Hunter D comic. That
Oh, sweet.
is that they had a Kickstarter. I don't really know.
We went
where.
to the release party for,
sweet.
for Stranger Comics.
Yeah. So I did a little bit of early stage artwork for that. That would be, I guess, considered my first like commissioned piece by like somebody that's doing comics or something basically nerd based. And so so that was the first one, and then right now I'm doing like a gig with like Upper Deck and Marvel. That's basically all I can say right now.
When can we expect those to be?
Yeah, sometime between like early February. Starting there, probably you'll hear more about it.
Can you say if it's like comic book covers or?
I'm not sure. I probably play it safe right now,
okay.
but but yeah, it's really fun. It's like it's just exciting to kind of be like hooked up with those big companies, and so I hopefully it'll get like the ball rolling as far as like kind of getting my name out there and tossed around between like executives or whatever.
What about you, Jana? What were some of your highlights?
I guess just like going to conventions and everything. I always like love going to them. Probably one of my favorites. Yeah, traveling. One of my favorites were, or I guess it's one of the busiest. We went to 3 different events in one weekend. It was what was that?
Was it Alamo and?
Yeah.
It
Oh
was
no, it was Salt Lake City.
Salt Lake
Oh,
City,
okay.
SAC Anime, and then we had another person at 626. So that was kind of like a pretty packed weekend.
Yeah, we got stretched really
preparing.
thin.
Yeah, so it's always really fun at the end because we feel like we conquered something great. And definitely our office, getting our the new studio is a huge highlight and a good way to end 2016.
Nice. I'm sure meeting Jatin Raza, who plays Dustin on Netflix's Stranger Things at Alamo City Comic Con, was a pretty cool moment. I mean, it looks like he even bought some of your art. Can you tell us about that experience?
Yeah, that was definitely one of the highlights this year because I didn't even expect it because I mean Alamo City Comic Con, I'd never really heard of it just because I'm in the hub of like SoCal conventions. So we went out. I didn't even know to expect like a big convention or not, and I didn't really look at the guest list either. And so I saw this kid like walking around with his friend and his dad, and at the time I've watched 2 Stranger Things episodes, and honestly, for my occupation, I'm pretty out of the loop as far as like staying up with like pop culture. But like when I saw him, I was like 30% sure it was him. And since like it was just like a regular convention, I just greeted them and they come up and basically look at all the artwork. And I don't know, they're just like normal people like admiring certain pieces, and just I was telling them about the process and all that. And then, so they picked out a few. He picked out like the Joker and a Stormtrooper, I think, for his place. And then he also got one for, I think it was his friend or his sister. But yeah, like once I heard him speak and I heard the lisp, I was like, dude, that's him. so it was that point where I was like, okay, I got to get a photo of these guys. And so I took a photo and they were off. It seemed like they were in a hurry. So yeah.
So cool. Speaking of Netflix, like I've sort of been on break myself from work, so I've been catching up on a few things on my queue. I mean, Rogue One just came out, so I've been catching up on some of Donnie Yen's movies. What movies or shows are in your queue that you want to get to?
Well, I usually watch series, not too many movies. Right now I'm watching Futurama. I start a lot of shows, but I don't really finish too many. But
Breaking
Futurama,
Bad.
yeah, Jana and I are watching Breaking Bad together. And what else? I mean, I guess those are the only 2.
So far.
Yeah,
There's
so
always,
far.
like, animes that you're
Yeah, occasionally. I haven't been watching too much anime lately. Just Futurama, I guess. That's like 90% of the time when I turn on the TV, it's probably going to be Futurama.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it's a pretty long series, and I've just been kind of keeping up with it. It's pretty good to watch like a couple episodes before you go to bed. Whatever.
Who's your favorite character from there?
I like Fry because he's so stupid. I don't know. I like the dumb, like reckless characters, like Samurai Champloo. Of course, I like Mugen. Yeah, I just think it's hilarious.
How about you, Jana? Is your cue different than his, or is it about the same?
I would say it's pretty different.
Yeah,
I like
way
watching
different.
like documentaries, and I started watching. Yeah, we were watching Breaking Bad. I like watching like Portlandia. They're just like all these like random like indie movies, and I started watching Gilmore Girls.
Oh yeah, they brought it back.
Yeah, just because like I just want to stay in the loop. I'm kind of like always wanting to know what's going on and like what the hype is all about. So I just give some TV shows a chance. So.
Which documentaries are you watching?
The latest one I watched was it was like a fashion documentary. I forgot which one it was, but it was covering a designer that I can't remember right now. But yeah, so just all those, and we watched. I really like watching documentaries like the Jiro Dreams of Sushi,
Oh,
or
yeah, I
like
love that one. Yeah.
the Miyazaki one with the like. Those are all really cool.
Yeah.
Cool to watch.
I actually watched. Well, speaking of documentaries, I watched the one. You know who Tony Robbins is, right?
Sounds really familiar. I don't know.
International speaker.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he had this one called "I Am Not Your Guru." It's pretty good watch. I mean, you really see. I guess the first time that he let Netflix or anybody kind of film that one. I think it's like Date with Destiny, like that series that he does once a year. So that was pretty interesting to see that, how he interacts with people. Because, I mean, you hear about him, but you never really see how he really interacts with people and the positive transformations that people go through when they go to these events. So it's pretty interesting. Yeah, but definitely, like, other documentaries on my queue are definitely food-based.
Oh, yeah, like all the food ones. Sorry, I forgot about that part. Those ones are my favorite, like Chef's Table, and then
Yeah.
Did you go to like Ace of Cakes or
Ace of
something?
Cakes.
The,
Oh,
like,
yeah. At San Diego Comic-Con last year, because I don't really know too much comic-related things, but I just saw that the chef, like
was there?
Chef Duff.
Yeah, he was there?
Yeah, he was there.
Oh, wow.
So I was like, like this is the one person I know. Like I'm gonna go. So
He probably
I
goes to
like-
the Baltimore Comic-Con.
yeah, I bet. Yeah, that's why he was really cool. He's just like exactly as you see him on TV, which is like a fun, and he's like loud
Nice.
and like.
Yeah, I love the show. When
Something with Stan Lee Comic Con, right? Like
Did he?
a cupcake.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
Holiday
he,
decorating.
yeah.
event?
He
Yeah.
did. He always does like cakes for Stan Lee or something. Yeah.
when we interviewed you back in 2014, one of the questions that I asked was, what kind of advice can you give to other aspiring artists? And you said, quote, work your hardest. There is no secret. You get in what you put out. So if you practice every day, you draw every day, you're going to get better at it. You also have to love it because you will be doing it a lot, end quote. Looking at your Instagram and seeing your newer pieces at conventions, like the Legend of Zelda Link piece that we saw you working on at DesignerCon, it looks like you have kicked it up several notches by incorporating different techniques. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've incorporated like washi tape, which is just patterned tape, like that you would lay down in certain shapes to kind of accent the piece a little bit more. And I've kind of, a lot of the stuff that I do as far as artwork and kind of the turns that it takes style-wise are not really like planned. They're more like, it kind of just like flows like a little bit. It's not like I'm going to wake up and decide to try this. It's just like I'm really feeling like I want to try this, or it would just be last minute and I would like incorporate it. And then I would decide to like keep it or leave it. And so the Legend of Zelda piece, I haven't really put out too many like too much new artwork. So the Legend of Zelda, there was like a pretty decent sized gap between that one and my last piece. And so in between there, I was doing a lot of studies, and so it kind of like took my style in a certain direction, kind of underneath the spotlight, where I've done a lot of practices and like sketches and studies where I haven't released them too much, and then it resurfaced again my style in the Legend of Zelda piece, and so that one's kind of like a significantly different than the piece before it.
What made you decide to do that one?
You know, since I've seen my style change a lot over the past like 2-3 years, I've been redoing a lot of the older pieces that I had just to kind of keep it recent. So the Legend of Zelda one, I painted, I think 2013 or 14. And so I wanted to redo it in the style that I have today. And so I'm also redoing the Full Metal Alchemist piece because that one's was painted a couple years ago, and so I just want to kind of like give it a refresher and kind of like retire the old piece for what it was, and then introduce the new piece for like who I am as an artist today.
Cool. And how long did it take for you to finish it?
Which one, the Legend of Zelda?
Yeah.
That one took like 13-14 hours, just because that one was the first time I painted in that scale with the new style, and so I was kind of taking it slow, not trying to cut any corners, and really try to like learn how to translate the style in like a bigger format.
Now, did you start it at the start of the convention, or did you?
Oh, I started it way before.
Oh, okay.
I probably put in like, yeah, I wish. I started it, yeah, it had probably like 10 hours with like beforehand,
Okay.
before the convention, which is perfect because like it doesn't look too interesting near the beginning stages. I mean, if I were to explain it to you, it would be a lot like more interesting, but it just looks like a bunch of like scribbles and like redoing a bunch of stuff. But near the end, it's like usually the more entertaining because you can like see it all come together.
Cool. Yeah, we'll put links to your Instagram with the photos, but do a quick shout out to Leonard Sultana and Alyssa Franks from Englishman SDCC. For those of you who didn't see it, you can look on his YouTube channel or his YouTube live for the DesignerCon footage that we showed with Geoff on there as well. So. Yeah, it looks like you're also starting to get into more of your more original art. I saw a recent video interview you did with nerdcentral.com. I guess that was in Long Beach Comic-Con, where you mentioned even doing, I guess, some sequential art in the future. You want to talk about that?
Yeah. So I've been really having this like urge this winter to kind of create more original pieces, non-derivative, just from my own, I guess, imagination from scratch. And I really appreciate like fine art. I mean, there's not too much of it in like the convention and anime scene. It's a lot of like illustration, storyboarding, and designing. So the fine art aspect, I never want to leave. And so like it's kind of difficult to find that fit in like a world where things are a lot more mass produced, and there's like sections of one piece cut up into like 5 different people. So like I definitely want to keep like the fine art aspect to it as like original painting, but as far as the theme behind it or the story behind it, I kind of need a little bit more substance than to just create a piece based on like a kind of like a whim, or like some like, for example, like, oh, people are like absorbed in their phones, so I'm just gonna like create this one piece that is like, I don't know, kind of like thematic in that way. But I like it when things have like a whole universe behind it. It's what drew me to like pop culture in the first place, like Marvel universe, like Harry Potter universe. Like there's just a lot of things that go on in that like fantasy world, and there's a lot to draw from that, like inspiration wise and also like subject wise. And so I kind of want to create my own universe, and basically just draw ideas from that and pick and choose different scenes, different characters, different like I don't know, colors, like themes and all that, and put it into one piece. And so that piece will be appreciated as like an art, like a fine art composition. But then behind that is like the background behind like the universe that character lives in. And so Sequential stuff, possibly. I mean, there's definitely enough like substance behind each piece to kind of create a sequential for that. But for right now, the storyline in the universe is more for me to draw inspiration from. It's just to kind of let my mind wander and get like inspiration from this like fantasy universe that I'm creating. And there's really no boundaries like as far as creating a composition, because I can add a certain piece to it or a certain element to it just because it completes the painting as a whole, rather than trying to live within a specific like Legend of Zelda universe or Marvel universe where everything kind of has to like fit with that pre-created like world. So creating your own is definitely like something that's really fun. It's scary at the same time because you don't know where to start, but once you have that like first seed, I kind of just build off of that, and I'm creating like little tiny like sketches or paintings just to kind of like solidify that idea or that feeling or that like theme that I had in my mind, and then just move on to the next one and kind of slowly build this like little empire universe thing.
Who writes the little narrative that accompanies the Instagram photo?
What's that?
Who writes the narrative that goes along with the Instagram photo?
Oh, I do.
Oh, you? Okay.
Yeah.
That's
So
pretty good.
it's just it's like this fan art like industry that kind of runs our business is something that I work on because I love. But there's also another leg, which is my like original stuff, and that is in its like infancy stages. And so like I kind of want to just go off of my own gut feeling and my own like inspiration, and so I kind of want to just keep it to like a very like intimate like setting as far as like inspiration and like who writes the stuff, who paints the stuff. It should just be like all me for now, and then once I kind of have something like built up bigger, then we can bring it into like the equation like critics and kind of chip away at it. But I don't want to like restrain it or like kind of restrict it right now. It's just like kind of in the growing stages. But yeah, the narratives are really fun to do because it's something that I have in my mind and something that I get really inspired by, and so I try to like translate it as like in as many different angles as possible to the person viewing it. And so I want each of my original pieces to have some narrative along with it to give people an idea of like the mood and setting and like feel, to give them like a certain feeling and let their imagination run with that piece.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of my idea for it.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to see what else you can bring with your universe that you're building. It's pretty cool. Let's see here. Last time we interviewed you, you mentioned the artist Wednesday Wolf as someone that inspired you and also someone that you wanted to meet at the time. Have you met him?
Not yet, actually, surprisingly. I feel like he's been to a couple conventions that we've been to, but I feel like I like didn't walk around that time, or like I didn't see him. But yeah, I haven't met him yet.
Now that you're starting to experiment with different approaches and techniques, what are some other artists that inspire you today?
A lot of people on my Instagram. I like different artists for different aspects of their art. Like I have a whole like wall, I guess, which you can show photos of later. That's just like filled with a bunch of artists I like, and so like I guess it's hard to think of names. Like I can visualize like the pieces like perfectly in my mind, like from Pinterest or Instagram, but it's hard to think of like names for me. But I mean, I guess one of the artists I can think off the top of my head is Malucidine. I think her Instagram name is like Shardula or something. But yeah, she had a exhibit at Gallery Nucleus that we got to visit, and her stuff is very Studio Ghibli inspired, and it's very like mysterious, like the mood that she gives off, and it's like it's really awesome. Like the colors, that's like one of the artists that I really admire for multiple aspects, like not just the composition, not just the colors, but also like the line work, the theme, the subject, like the mood and all that.
Cool. We'll look her up. What's one thing that your fans would be surprised to know about you?
Well, I guess I guess the fact that I own a snake. Yeah, I just posted it on like Snapchat a couple weeks ago, and a bunch of people were like messaging me back like, "OMG, like you have a snake." So she's getting a little more screen time now that she's moving to the office with us. So that's our office pet.
Next you know, she'll have her own social media accounts.
Yeah. Yeah. So I have had her since I was 11. So she's 12 right now, and they live to an average of like 30. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, it's for the long haul.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Music does a lot to accentuate and give weight, to key moments in a movie. If a movie was made about your life, what kind of music would be on the soundtrack?
I don't know. I mean, honestly, I feel like it would be a lot of like upbeat music. Despite the tone of my voice, I'm pretty like determined and like pretty like ambitious, and so I feel like a lot of the music that will depict like moments in my life would be a lot of like, I don't know. I can only give like moods and like themes, but I can't really give too many like names of like artists or music. But it definitely would be like upbeat and like kind of like pick me up, because I mean like before every convention we're just like super pumped to like just like meet everybody and just like do well, and like for the office, like everything, like every big moment behind it, we just like need we like kind of have like this moment where we're just like kind of like pep talk a little bit, like Jana sit through a few of them.
How many people on your team right now?
Well, right now it's me doing the artwork, and then Jana, she does a lot of the customer like relations, the website, basically everything else in between. And then my mom actually does shipping, so she started it when I was doing it out of my house. She works a job where she comes. She's a school like lunch lady, and she comes back at like 9:30, and that's the end of her day, 9:30 a.m. And so I was like, this is a perfect opportunity for her to help me out, because she's always like interested and really proud of me, and so I think she finds it really enjoyable to be like a part of it. And so she does my shipping basically, and she does like really good job at it, because she like really cares about like what I'm doing in the business and the customers and everything. So she does that, and then we have a couple salespeople to work the conventions, like brand ambassadors, just to kind of talk to the customers and like all the people, and kind of we give them like we prepare them beforehand to kind of like learn about the artwork, so they can tell like the people like how it's made and like all that stuff. And so they're like kind of my like kind of like my arms and legs to kind of reach the different areas. Like that's how we were able to split like 3 different conventions and meet represent in those 3 different cities, because we had like a few of like our team members able to kind of travel and go there. And then yeah, I mean, my little sister helps out occasionally around the office. Yeah, she's our temp. Yeah, and I guess that's about it. Yeah.
So I guess maybe we can go a little bit into how your typical day is. Like maybe you can go through a little run through.
Yeah. All right, so we'll take yesterday as an example of my typical day. So I got to the office about like 10 or 11, and I basically water all the plants. We have a lot of plants here. I really like it's really I've taken a liking to plants recently, and so I just basically take care of that, take care of the snake, like Mr. Cage, and like refill her water and all that stuff, and basically just kind of like prep.
Prep. Like prep work, like make coffee and like just get the day started so you can get productive.
Yeah, I'm the type of
like
person that can't I can't work if like things are messy or like things are undone. Like everything needs to be like calm before I actually get to work. So if there's like a messy office, like I can't just sit down and create something. So I have to like clean up. So usually Jana's like in the office like working on the computer like right when we get in, and then I'm just like all over the office like cleaning up and doing all this stuff. And then by the time I sit down in my studio chair, Jana's about to leave, and like it's like 5:00 p.m. And then like I would start painting, and like yesterday I stayed till like 1 a.m. finishing up, or not even finishing up, like painting, because I just felt it, and like I was alone in the studio, like our neighbors were not here, so I was able to bump up the music and just like jam and vibe out and basically like create on the paper. And so I was able to get a lot of work done as far as like the painting. And then I wake up successively later because I'm probably going to stay here late again because yesterday I stayed late and slept in. But yeah, that's basically it.
Yeah, we have a lot of freedom to do whatever we want, but we also need to like discipline ourselves to be productive.
Well,
Geoff,
I thought that was the original plan to.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of freedom though, scheduling. But yeah, Geoff just needs to get more time to do art.
Yeah,
that's like the main thing.
It's tough because like you can't really force it. Like for example, I have to clean before I create. Like it's really hard to like discipline yourself to create because like for me, my process is like it can't be like restrained at all. Like there can't be any baggage, and so like the fact, like the idea of like sitting down and like disciplining yourself to create something is kind of like counterintuitive for me. I kind of need to have like a free day and just like be like unrestrained and kind of like let it happen organically.
So you said you bumped up the music yesterday. What were you listening to?
I have a SoundCloud and I just like follow a bunch of people. So I usually like very long mixes. So like Selection Radio is like a 2-hour radio show with like a bunch of music from like all different genres. So it's something that will keep me like engaged enough. So I don't have to worry about changing this song to like something different.
Well, it's interesting that you say long mixes. And you're sitting under Nujabez.
Yeah.
The painting that you did.
So I mean, there's those YouTube. You can like get playlists from like, yeah.
How about you, Jana? What do you listen to when you're working?
I actually listen to NPR.
Oh, okay.
So I listen to KCRW, and there's just like the morning becomes eclectic.
Yeah.
So
I love their stuff.
Jason, like I love like listening to all that. Just like a bunch of like new music to discover. And then in between, I like listening to news. Just like
What do you do for fun?
What's that?
What do you do for fun when you're not here till 2 o'clock in the morning?
Artwork is pretty fun in general. Honestly, I haven't had like too many things to do besides like paint and then work at the office, like doing like day-to-day stuff and watching Netflix at night. But if I did have more time in my day, I would probably go fishing a lot more. Biking is really fun. I live like 5 minutes away from the studio, so like biking is pretty fun to go here and back. But recently, since we've been like getting furniture and moving heavy stuff, I haven't been able to do that. It's gotten really cold, so I haven't been able to do that in the morning. But
although it is like 80 degrees outside right now.
Yeah, it's weird, but I'm not willing to take that gamble.
Well, obviously you're passionate about your work, and usually when I ask people, other artists and other creatives, there's a subtle struggle or a big struggle, with trying to find a balance between work and life. I mean, how is that for you right now?
I would say it's pretty much like consumed me, like for the reason that I haven't really done anything like for fun, quote unquote. A lot is basically like I would probably consider myself like a workaholic right now. I'm sure it comes like in seasons, but it's pretty like out of my day, probably like 95% of it's like spent working. Yeah.
That's fine. I mean, as long as you're self-aware, you know what you can do. But eventually I think maybe you have to take some time off in the year. Yeah.
We have a big family, being Filipino and all. So like we have those family parties. Jana does too. So those are good like break moments where we get to hang out with family for the holidays. But mostly I guess it's spent at the office just because it's winter and there are not a lot of conventions here. So I feel like I need to make the most out of this time where I'm not getting like destroyed by like the like long hours of the convention every weekend.
You mentioned family, and it appears that your mom is really supportive of your career. I mean, has that always been the case? Has your family been supportive?
Yeah. Obviously more so once they see like that I've become a little bit more successful, but they've always from the beginning, even when I was like thinking about like changing like career paths or doing artwork, they basically just tell me that they support me no matter what I do, just as long as it like makes sense and like it's gonna be able to like support myself. So yeah, they've always been behind my back.
That's good. On Instagram, I saw that you're reading a book about Japan. Are you planning to go there soon?
No, not anytime soon, just because like I'm too busy. But like eventually, yes, like hands down, like definitely gonna go to Japan probably multiple times. Like our best friends, they just came back from Japan for like they were there for like 3 weeks, and now we want to go even more.
Yeah, they brought us a bunch of fun toys to play with and just look
Like
at.
yeah, and like things like what is it, little like miniatures or something.
Yeah. And then they also went to the Studio Ghibli Museum
Oh,
and they brought
Yeah.
sweet.
So
It's
they
like
basically just rubbed it in our faces, and we just really want to go now. So we're definitely planning on doing that.
Yeah, there's
Japan.
Japan.
To the ramen museum up there.
Ramen museum? Okay.
That's dope.
Yeah. There's just like too many things to do there. It's like, how can you not visit?
Yeah, I mean, the Ramen Museum, the giant Gundam.
Yeah,
the,
that too.
Yeah, I want to.
The lifestyle.
Yeah, I want to go into a hot spring when it's snowing.
Yeah, we go
Yeah.
hot springs with the
Have you
monkey.
guys-
The monkeys with the red faces,
Yeah.
yeah.
Have you guys gone before?
I have. Well, I've been in the airport, but I haven't been.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh.
Got a taste of it.
Yeah. Are you an avid reader?
Not really. I mean, if you count like picture books, I don't really read it, but I look at the pages. So I have like a good amount of art books. Like the Japan one was an art book. Like that one is actually pretty cool. It's got like sectioned off into 4 sections according to like the seasons, and then it's just got artwork, photographs, and like haikus and poetry based on the theme of that, like winter, summer, spring, fall, all that.
Nice.
So, I mean, I get a lot of inspiration from the books, but they don't really have too many words in them.
That's right. Pictures speak 1,000 words, right?
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain and Rick Steves' shows. And I'd love to travel the globe. What places do you want to visit? What are your top 3 and why?
Japan, because it's where I draw a lot of my inspiration from. I definitely could find a lot of things to do, a lot of things to see there. The Philippines, I've never been, surprisingly, because basically like my whole family's from there, but I definitely want to go visit there just to see like what it's like. I'm sure it's different since when they went back, but I feel like it's some sort of like trip that every Filipino has to take eventually, go to the Philippines. And then another one I would like to go to, I don't know, probably somewhere with like a lot of nature.
New Zealand.
Yeah, New Zealand probably. I don't know. Just somewhere where there's like a clear just like untouched nature. I don't know. I like that scene.
You
a
can see
lot.
where they filmed Lord of the Rings. And
Yeah, yeah, that would be great. Yeah, you just kind of get like a perspective on life that we're just like it kind of separates you. I guess that's what I like about it. Is it really separates you from like the day-to-day life, like the honking cars, like the traffic, the alarms that wake you up, and you just kind of get one with like the world, you know.
Do you ever, when you go to out-of-town conventions, do you ever spend time in that city to check out the food or culture around each city that you go to?
The most that I've ever spent was like half a day extra. We're gonna like Jana and I are going to Sacramento for SAC Anime next week, and so we booked a couple days to just go up to San Francisco. So that would be like the most time that we spent. So like 2 days extra, but definitely like if we travel together, like is more fun when I travel with Jana, but there's not too many conventions that are in a fun place, and there's no other convention happening that weekend. But if there is, then or like if it's free, then we'll probably book a couple extra days, especially this year when we're traveling more. Or, I mean, 2017 next year when we're traveling more.
Probably the most exciting part is like food and like trying all the different things, like food that's there. Like,
yeah, definitely.
How about you, Jana? What three places around the world do you want to go to, and why?
Japan for sure.
Uh-huh.
I've been to the Philippines once when I was in second grade, so I definitely do want to go back.
Mm-hmm.
I guess also France. I haven't. I've been there once, but I wasn't able to like really walk around and like experience it. So I really like art history, so I like going to like museums and stuff. So like the Louvre would be cool, or even like in Italy would be nice to like just go around there, just like look at all the like super like historic like buildings and stuff. So that'll be really fun.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. If I give you $1 million, what would you do with it?
My business professors would tell me to put it into like an annuity or something. So honestly, that would probably be what I would do, or something very frugal. I don't spend like too much money on myself or anything. So I'd probably like take a good, like, I don't know, just do something with it to make more money. Yeah, it's my business degree mentality.
What would you if you had to put some money in your studio? What upgrade would you like to see?
Well,
Our ceiling.
definitely. Oh, okay. Yeah, that might cost $1 million. So there's like ceiling panels in our office right now, and like they're okay, but like there's so much cooler ones, but they're like really expensive. So that would probably use a big chunk of my $1 million, and then we'd get
Wood
more.
floors.
Yeah, we would get more
Replace the
space.
carpet.
More space for the artwork. When we were putting up the pieces for our like office warming, we had to like stack some on top of each other, which kind of sucked. So we definitely would get more like wall space to put more artwork, and then probably have a bigger team. I really like having like a team and certain people dedicated to certain legs of the business, because that's the most efficient way of doing things, and to have like a work culture like that would be amazing. So yeah, I guess that's how I'd use it.
What about you, Jana? What would you do with $1 million?
Yeah.
Oh, well, first initial thought, I would just go straight to South Coast, which is down the 405.
When I used to work up here, my office was, I could walk to South Coast.
Oh, gosh. if our office was right next to South Coast.
Go every
You
2
won't
weeks
see
on
me.
payday.
But yeah, probably just go shopping. It's like the most like obvious thing for me to do. And then book a ticket to Japan.
Yeah, I'd probably travel with it for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Next question. If you could have dinner with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be, and where would you eat?
I guess, I'm sure, Jana, could you guess who I would have dinner with?
Oh, don't put me on this spot. Wait.
My favorite musician.
Oh. Ninja
No, but that's a good one. Sorry, Ninja Biz. But I would probably go with like
Lupe Fiasco.
Yeah, just because like, yeah, he's like famous, and like he's like, yeah, I don't know. I just like, I feel like he has a very interesting mind. So like, I would basically pick his brain and kind of ask him like what his inspirations are. He likes anime. He likes Street Fighter. He's in hip hop. He's from Chicago. Like he has a very weird mix of like different influences and cultures. So like I definitely would like to see how that works and how he makes it, like how he makes himself successful, like drawing from his different like backgrounds. So I would think that would be the most interesting dinner ever.
Where would you
go eat?
Oh, where would I go eat? Oh, I don't know. Probably some Chicago pizza place, because like we went to Chicago, or I went to Chicago like last year, and their deep dish pizza is like amazing. So yeah.
So usually when I talk about pizza with friends, you either think Chicago pizza is pizza or you don't.
Oh, like pie.
Yeah,
Like
pie.
pie.
Yeah. I probably didn't stay long enough in Chicago to call it a pie, but I appreciated it.
He even brought one back for me to try.
Oh wow.
Oh, yeah. My buddy and I, we went for a convention, and then we went into the pizza. We got pizza so many times. Pizza and hot dogs that whole week. And so on the last day, we got a pizza in a box, and then we just carried it onto the plane and flew it back to California, and then heated it up for our girlfriends to eat.
Which pizza place did you go to for that one?
Giordano's, I think.
Did you go to that one, Alex?
No.
Okay.
We went to one, and my last job, I used to travel a lot too, and Chicago was too packed, and we didn't have reservations, so we went somewhere else, some smaller mom and pop shop. So.
How about you, Jana? Who'd you want to have dinner with, and where would you go?
Oh. It would probably be like Michael Jackson.
We have been
And,
listening to a lot of Michael Jackson at the office.
That's our pump up music. We have
Yeah,
certain
yeah.
mix that we
Okay,
listen to.
yeah.
Yeah, just because he's just so like iconic. He's like
Yeah, I love his.
super
I love his
legendary.
Off the Wall album. you know.
Yeah, I would probably just have him like go on stage and just like sing for me. Where we would eat probably at his house. What was that called? Like
Neverland?
Neverland.
Is it still for sale, or just someone buy it?
I don't know.
Okay. Let's see. Are there any other projects that you're currently working on that you could talk about?
No, just mostly like what I've been putting my creative efforts into is just kind of pushing out that like original work that I've been doing. Other than that, not too many things that I've kind of branched out into.
I think before the podcast, we were talking about, I guess, how you're going to be participating with the Boys and Girls Club down in San Diego.
Oh yeah, this January 2017, I'll be down in San Diego doing I'm going to be teaching like the 4th and 5th graders of the Boys and Girls Club in San Diego how to paint. Just doing like a demonstration and kind of speaking to the kids a little bit, and then so that's gonna be pretty fun. I've never done anything like that before, so kind of nervous, but I think it'll be really fun, and I definitely think the kids will enjoy it for sure.
Cool, yeah. We'll try and make it down for that too.
Yeah.
What else do you have planned so far for 2017?
Booking more shows.
Yeah, going to more shows. We're trying to just reach more areas. Our base is like California, of course, so a lot of our followers and a lot of people who like visit the website and stuff are from California. But I'd like to expand that and just go visit like other places, because here we've kind of built a lot of like connections and like our web of like networks, and so a lot of people that visit us at the conventions, like for instance, you guys, like we've seen like a bunch of times, and we're kind of like chatting and everything. And so I kind of want to start that connection also with like other states and other countries and stuff to kind of like get more acquainted and kind of like grow our family basically.
So which conventions are you thinking about going to?
Well, a lot of the big ones like New York Comic Con, of course, C2E2, Emerald City Comic Con, MegaCon, Dragon Con. The out of the country ones, probably not this next year, 2017, but 2018 probably going to travel to like Canada. There's like a Calgary one, and then there's also a few in like Australia, like Perth, and I think New Zealand also. And of course, like Japan conventions, like for sure. There's a Comiket. That's a really, really big one. World's biggest convention.
Is it?
Yeah. They bring a ton of people.
500,000.
500,000?
That's in
Yeah.
Japan?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Japan.
I heard about that.
I thought it was the one.
It's
I thought they had one in
crazy.
China that was pretty big, but I guess Japan. That one in Japan.
Yeah. So that's going to be fun. So those are the ones that we plan on going to.
Is there anything that we missed that you'd like for our audience to know about?
I think if you're ever in the area, you can always stop by and see our studio, because I think it's pretty open for people who are interested in buying like originals. It's always good to see it in person, and yeah. So if you're in Orange County.
Yeah. So like we do display like a lot of original pieces here. It's really cool to see them. There's a certain effect that it gives versus like the prints, just because like we show at like a lot of different conventions. Like this year we went to 30, I think exactly, conventions, and so like we show all prints there, and the prints come from an original, and the original nobody really ever sees besides me and people in the studio. So like we have them displayed up here, and so it's really cool to see like the actual painting rather than a print, and yeah, it's a good showcase area.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, I'm looking at the originals right now. I'm like, whoa, there's definitely a difference.
Yeah, you can like get up close and see like all the details and the brush strokes and everything. It's really cool.
And I guess you can also take a picture with the slick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The snake.
And Holder.
And where can people find you online?
Yeah, so I guess that's another milestone. This was it this year? Yeah, last year we had a website.
The website.
Okay, yeah, but you can find us at pascualproductions.com. It's PASCUAL productions.com. That's kind of a hub where you can find like a lot of our blog posts, like where you can find us at conventions, all the artwork and all that. And then I also have Instagram under the same name, Pascual Productions, and Facebook too. And if you follow on Instagram, there's a link to my Snapchat if you want to see more shots of my snake.
Behind the scenes.
Yeah, BTS.
Nice. Well, we appreciate you being on the podcast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And we'll have to do it again sometime soon.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, guys. That's Geoff Pascual and Jana Arcinas from Pascual Productions. Go check them out online. And yeah, this stuff is pretty awesome.
Thank you.
Peace. Cheers. Later.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Hall H Show. We appreciate you very much. And if you have any comments or recommendations for potential guests, please reach out to us on social media using the hashtag Hall H Show. Peace, cheers, and see you next time. And don't forget to get your SDCC Fit workout in. San Diego Comic Con will be here before you know it.